So let's just start with some big breaths in through the nose, side out the mouth, let it go. A few more just like that. In through the nose. You might even bring in a little sound. Through the nose. Well done, everyone. And just allow the breath to return to a natural rhythm. And let the attention rest on the breath. Nothing to change, nothing to shift, just becoming fully aware of the body breathing itself. And as you start to notice the breath, just notice the length. Notice if the inhalation is longer or shorter than the exhalation. And take a couple more breaths here, maybe even noticing the breath at the tip of the nostrils. You might notice which nostril the breath breathes in and out of more, and which is less. And you may notice that the breath, through awareness, through observation, naturally becomes a little longer, a little smoother. And now invite yourself to a place of bringing evenness in the breath. So it doesn't matter how long the breath is, just that the inhale and the exhale are even, samavriti. And so it might be a count of 3, maybe 4, maybe even 5. Just stay with this for a couple more rounds, feeling into that evenness and allowing the mind to focus on the inhale, on the exhale. And the next time you inhale, imagine the body here in this space on the floor, from toes to crown of the head. You might feel that breath arriving from the feet, moving up the body, washing up. And then with your exhale arriving to the crown of the head, then send the awareness down the body. So similar to a body scan, but now using the breath to move up the body. Exhale to move down the body. And take a few more just like this. And allow this to soften the body. You might tune into sensation in the body, noticing tension or noticing areas that feel good this morning. And you might expand those areas that feel good, and you might soften tension. We'll take one more round of this, inhaling from the feet to the crown, exhaling from the crown to the feet, and then allowing the breath to return to a natural rhythm. We will open our time together with 3 ohms. If you wish to participate, you may. And I invite you to really feel into the vowels of Om. So Om is not just O-M, it's A-U-M, Aum. And I invite you to feel into the sensation in the body with the vibration that arrives with the different vowels. And just notice if there's anything different from one part of the sound to the next. And of course, if you wish to just listen, you may. We'll take a connecting breath in. Exhale, let that go. Inhale for sound. And the next time you breathe in, find some gentle movement in the toes and fingers, opening toes and fingers wide. Spread them as wide as you can. And with an exhale, draw in, make fists with the toes and fingers. Inhale to expand wide. Exhale to draw in. Let's take a couple more just like that. Inhaling, moving with the breath. Exhaling, finding that little bit of constriction. Let's do one more. Inhale. Exhale. And then soften the fingers and toes. Roll out the ankles and wrists. And move along with the breath. So you might come back to that long, smooth, soft breath. But find natural rhythm here. And then roll the other way if you haven't switched directions. And then we'll exhale, find some stillness. We'll inhale, reach the arms overhead, extend through the legs, arch the low back. If that feels good in the body, take a good morning stretch, maybe point through the toes or press through the heels. Really reach long. And then exhale, right knee into chest, give it a little squeeze. And you might move that femur bone around in the hip sockets. And then start to bring that knee as close into the right armpit as you can. And so that means that the leg will come out a little bit, right? So kind of like a half happy baby. Yep. And I want you to feel into the right side of the body. Imagine you can breathe so heavily into the right side of the body that you're breathing into that thigh. Let's take another breath in. Exhale everything out. One more, just like that. Nice job. Inhale. And exhale. Find some softness. Bring that knee back to center. Release the leg down. Extend the arms overhead. Another good morning stretch. Reach the body as long as you can. Really stretch it out. And exhale, left knee into chest. And you might start with just some circles of the femur bone moving around in the hip socket. Feeling the weight of the hips pressing or resting down into the earth. And then start to draw that knee into the left armpit. So almost half happy baby. And invite the breath to the left side of the belly. Almost as if you could breathe so big into that belly that it would connect into the thigh. Right? And it might be a visualization, right? A sensation. One more full breath in. Soft, smooth breath out. Nice job. We'll bring the knee back to center. Send the knee long. Extend the arms. Big good morning stretch. And with your next exhale, both knees into the chest or one knee at a time. And then just take a moment here. Find a little movement, maybe rocking back and forth. You might even rest the hands on the shins or the knees and just move the legs around, right? Just a chance to really allow that connection with the low back and the floor. Maybe a little massage on the hips, maybe a massage around all that connective tissue. Nice job, everyone. And from here, we're going to work into a little core so that we're stable as we begin to move. And so let's bring the feet to the earth, knees to the sky, feet come about hip width distance. And arms alongside the body, and start to nuzzle the shoulder blades in so that the heart is the highest point lifted. And as you nuzzle in, think about pressing the shoulder blades down, the triceps down, the forearms and the palms down to create a little more support of the upper body. You want to feel some openness across the collarbones. And then from here, you'll start to press right foot into the earth, and then you're going to draw left knee into the chest. And we're going to tap left toes down and then bring the left knee back in. So we're just working this left side at first, and keep pressing the remaining 3 extremities down into the earth. If you'd like a little more, you could extend the leg. So you would draw the knee in and then send the leg long, hovering it over the floor. And then draw in, hover over the floor. So a couple options, and you might play around with both this morning. Let's take 1 or 2 more on this side. Nice job, everyone. And then when you're ready, you'll release the left foot back down to the earth. And then readjust everything. So find that engagement of the shoulders, the arms, the left foot this time. And then when you're ready, drawing the right knee in. And then tapping toes, maybe for a few rounds. And then if you want a little bit more, you might extend that leg out. So almost like a bicycle, right? But just partially, just to get the belly warm. And you want to feel into that stabilizing action of the opposite foot, right? So that left foot's pressing down, especially if you're extending that leg, right, and pulling it back, you can feel into that support coming from that pressing. Let's take 1 or 2 more, whatever is going to make you feel even. And then we'll release that right foot back down to the earth. Nice job, everyone. And then walk the feet wide, cactus the arms. And then we'll just take a few windshield wipers. So dropping knees to one side, dropping knees to the other side. The hips might lift, so the hips might come with you. One hip might stay on the floor, the other hip might come up. And as you continue to flow this, you might think about pressing into the inner side of whatever leg is on top. So as knees come to one side, there's a knee on top, and whichever that is, if you press into the interior of the foot, it can open up the front of the hip a little bit more. So let's take a couple more movements here. If you'd like to find one of these spots and stay for a few breaths, do so. And then as you start to feel balanced, come back to center. We'll draw the knees back into the chest. And then we're going to bring the hands behind the thighs and then extend the legs to the sky. So let this shape settle in the body for a moment. So it's like legs up the wall pose, but you might be supporting the legs. And then when you're ready to let go of the legs, you may do so. And then from here, we're going to work into some crunches. So imagine you have a block on your feet, right? So you're really having to keep the legs positioned in a way to support that action. And then from here, a couple options on how you might do your little crunch. So you might just reach up and try to touch the toes and then come back down. Option number 1. You might stay lifted and breathe. Keep reaching for the toes. And you might do a combination of both, where you stay up for a breath, full inhale, full exhale, lower back down, full breath in, full breath out, and then exhale, come back up. So let's take one or two more, whatever you decide to do. And then we'll release the arms down. If you need a little break, let's release the legs down. You might walk the feet wide and windshield wiper the knees again. You might just stay with a little stillness. Don't worry, we're almost off the back. Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm so glad. All right, so we'll come back to our neutral feet. So feet stack underneath the knees. We'll draw the knees back in and we'll extend them to the sky like legs up the wall pose. And again, imagine there's that block that and if you want, you could even hold a block on the feet, right? That's going to be like extra fun and extra challenging. Like how, right? And so it just requires a little more things going on to hold that up. Okay, this time we're going to cross the body. So as you exhale, you're going to reach right hand over to the left pinky toe. Inhale back. Exhale left to right pinky toe. And I don't know usually what to do with my hands when I come back down, so I kind of bring them in the direction of my ears, like, you know, a 1980s crunch. Let's take a couple more if you've got it in you. I already did this today when I was prepping for our time together. All right. One or two more. I know you've got it. And if you've got a block, you'll release your block. Let the feet come back to the earth. Walk the feet wide. Cactus the arms. Just take a couple windshield wipers of the knee. We're going to move into bridge pose from here. Right? So anytime we do core, we often want to follow up with a little bit of stability in the low back, stability in the pelvis, just to help solidify everything. So you'll walk the feet underneath the knees about hip width distance. Start to nuzzle the shoulder blades in together and create some length at the back of the neck. Arms come alongside the body. And let's just start with one or two of those pelvic tilts, just to check in with the pelvis. So as you inhale, soften the belly, roll the pelvis away, arch the low back. And as you exhale, roll the pelvis toward you, press the small of the back down into the earth. And we're going to use this to help us lift one vertebrae at a time and start to press a little weight into the feet, lifting the hips. And then lowering back down one vertebra at a time and roll the pelvis away. Now, you might stick with this. This might be plenty. If you'd like a little more this morning, let's incorporate the arms. So as you roll the pelvis away, the low back is arched, the pelvis is on the floor, arms alongside the body. And then as you start to lift the hips, you'll reach the arms up and overhead. And then see if you can lower the spine and the arms down at the same time. That's probably the trickiest part. Bringing some evenness between both actions. But wonderful for the mind, wonderful for the focus. Let's do one or two more wherever you're at. And then the next time you find yourself lifted, let's stay here for a couple breaths. You might bring the arms back alongside the body. You might interlace fingers underneath, drawing the shoulder blades closer. Press down into the feet. Feel the lift of the hips. Another full breath in. Soft breath out. Full breath in. Soft breath out. Let's do one more inhalation. And with an exhale, we'll lower back down, releasing the clasp of the hands if they are. And we'll come down to the earth. And before finding movement, just let the hips settle. Feel into the stability of the pelvis, the stability of the hips. Let all of that information process for another breath in. Exhale. We'll inhale here, and we'll start to make our way into seated. So you might hug knees into chest and roll onto one side and come to lift. If it feels good for your spine, you might rock and roll a few times, which can be really good for a lot of that connective tissue. Yeah, does that feel good? Think about like your cat spine. Yeah, so it's really good for all of that tissue, like your spine stabilizers is what it's great for, and the QLs. Those are these muscles that go from like here to here on both sides of the. Yeah, they're the ones that if you wash dishes for a long time.
Say that again. Quadratus lumborum.
Kind
of sexy.
Yeah.
Back, quadratus lumborum. Back.
Yeah, they're the ones that give people a lot of trouble. Like if you've ever stood over too long and you stand up and you feel that like, oh, or if you, yep, it's that thing. So when we do those bird dogs, which we'll do some today, don't worry. All right, so in a comfortable seat, you might be propped up. We're going to work on some arm stuff, so you want to be comfortable. You might sit under a blanket or sit up on a blanket. Not like under. Under's good. As we get ready to change back to the winter time for the last time possibly ever, I'm getting very upset because why would we just keep daylight savings? It's going to be like 9 a.m. when the sun rises in winter. I am like, Eric's like, you're still mad about this? I'm like, yes, I am so upset about this. And I got all frustrated about this morning. So I was like, it's so dark this morning. I don't want to get out of my blanket. All right, so in your comfortable seat, is that working? Evidence of safety. Evidence of safety. So in pain care, we want to give the body evidence of safety. So it's like that questioning of, am I safe? Am I going to be okay? Is this something that I can lean into? Is this something I need to back off of? Right? And through that inquiry, the mind has the ability to settle the nervous system. And then when we settle the nervous system, the danger signals go down and it turns down the pain. Yeah, so it's if we can, so oftentimes when we have pain, right, we want to, and then we hold our breath. And so if we can breathe into it and start asking, usually it'll just turn that knob a little bit. All right, so we're going to start with just some shoulder rolls. Think about drawing the shoulders up to the ears, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then coming forward. And just feel into that. It might be a little crunchy, and that's okay. And we'll do a few more on this side than the other direction, just because it generally feels a little better. All right, and then we'll switch in the other direction and just notice that. Notice how that might feel a little awkward, feel a little different. Like, oh, that's why it felt funny. And then you might start to do one at a time, like you're swimming. And you might start to incorporate the arms and the chest. right? Like grass on the ocean floor. And then you might roll in the other direction, right? Or thinking of yourself moving through water. Nice job. We'll come into some stillness as you find some evenness. And then from here, resting the hands down wherever they're comfortable, we're going to work on some neck rotation. So imagine there's a little pencil at the tip of your, or paintbrush, at the tip of your chin. And start chin to chest. And then you'll come up sweeping, drawing a big circle to the right ear, up to the sky, back down to left ear, and to the chest. And as you continue to circle in the neck, think about long spine, shoulder blades nuzzling together just to protect everything back there. And you might feel as you open up across the upper back, or I should say, draw in across the upper back, open up across the chest, right, that things feel a little different.
Are we reversing it?
Yes, yes, reverse. I would kind of go both ways. And then we'll come into neutral. And then we're going to work into a nice stretch for the neck. This is one of my favorite. And so let me grab you some straps just in case. You got a strap. I feel like there's a song, you got a strap, I got a strap. Like, here's a lot of different options. I think, okay. And you may want this, you may not. And let me back up and kind of show you from this direction what we're doing. So in your comfortable seat, arms are going to start to work behind you. And we're going to start with the right hand behind you. So it's something like this. And if you're using your strap, it might be something like this. And the idea is that you're using this left arm to pull the right arm open, but you want to keep the opening of the front of the shoulder. So especially on this side, this shoulder head wants to come in, right? So then if I pull on this arm, I get some pain here, quite a bit actually, right? So it's thinking about keeping that shoulder blade open first and then starting to draw the arm over. If the strap isn't it, because some of us that feels awkward, you might interlace fingers. You might just rest the hand, kind of like a reverse namaste, right? Or you might hold the hand and continue to draw both shoulders together. And this might be a lot, and it might feel good. And then we're going to bring the chin down so that the bottom of the chin's parallel with the earth, and then start to bring the gaze to the left ear. Breathe in. And then as this settles in the body, you might decide to bring the chin down. And breathe in. Soft breath out. We'll take another breath in. Exhale everything out. Inhale to lift the gaze. Bring the head back to neutral. Realign the chin with the earth. And then we'll start to tip the left ear to the left shoulder. Yeah. Find your breath. And for some of us, once you settle into this, if you tip the chin down a little bit or lift the chin up a little bit, it can change the area of the stretch. And so just feel into what sticky spot you might need to work into today. We'll take another breath in. Exhale everything out. We'll inhale, bring everything back to center, and then slowly Very, very slowly, like as slow as you can go, start to unwind. Bring that arm back. Let the shoulders just process all of that information for a moment. Full breath in. Soft breath out. Nice job, everyone. We'll set up for the other side. So you might bring your strap, and you might find one side requires a strap and one side doesn't.
I can grab that shoulder with that hand.
Right. So
Can you put the strap on? Oh, I could do that.
Yep. Yeah. So, and think about shoulders up and away, shoulder blades together. Yes. How does that feel?
Oh, it's fine on my hand.
Good. Good. So we're working the left arm behind us. You might connect, right? Something like what Louise is doing, or hands might connect, or strap. And then you're starting to connect shoulder blades, nuzzling them in, opening up across the chest. Nicely done, everyone. And then from here, we're just going to bring the gaze to the right. You'll stay here for a breath. And then when you're ready, probably on an exhale, draw the chin down to the shoulder. Breathe here for a few rounds. Another full breath in. Soft breath out. We'll inhale, start to lift the gaze. Return the head to neutral. Find that alignment of the chin. Lengthen the back of the neck. And then we'll start to draw right ear to right shoulder. And just breathing into that side. One side might be completely different than the other. In fact, I would guess that for most of us it is. And that's okay. Can you get a little more curious about that? Less critical? Step into a little more joy. This nice, deep, slow, mindful unwinding of the body. Letting tension unravel. Letting the weight of the world become a little lighter. And then when you're ready, slowly starting to lift the gaze, lift the head, releasing gently. Let the arms and the shoulders return to their natural place, and just take a moment here, allowing that information to process, the body to absorb. And then we'll start to move into some shoulder rotations. So from here, if your legs are crossed, you might switch the cross of the ankles. If you would like to adjust your legs in any other direction, feel free to do so. And we're going to work into cactus arms. Don't worry, this is our last thing before we switch from seated. So cactus arms. And think about drawing the shoulder blades together and really opening up across the front of the chest. And you might feel a little more support along this side of the body with the things that we've done already. So feel into that lifting. Hold the spine. And then we're just going to slowly start to rotate the hands down to the earth. And then back up. And just pay attention to your breath, right? Which breath does your body want to breathe for which movement? And how interesting is that? There's no right or wrong. Let's take one more. We'll release the arms down. And let's do one more just for the sake of we're here and it'll feel good. So So we're going to extend the arms out, and you're going to rotate one arm down, and the other will rise up. The spine and the neck might start to incorporate with this. So it should feel like you're dancing a little bit. You do now. But feeling into that shoulder rotation, feeling into all the movements of the arms, the elbows, the wrists, the neck. We'll do one more, finding balance, maybe two. And then we'll release arms down. Nice job. Are you feeling 10 inches taller? Woohoo! All right, let's come into tabletop. So if you need to support under the knees, do so. And I always recommend, a little flatter, depending on what you need. And we're going to start with our little lion's dance. And just starting to explore this shape. So getting into the hips, getting into the shoulders. You might stay on the hands. You might come down onto forearms on blocks. Right? A couple different options. If you are on the palms, think about really engaging through the whole hand. So as you lean forward, pressing into the roots of the fingers, as you lean to one side, finding a little pressing down on one side of the hand to the other. And you might notice this all the way up into the shoulders. And you might notice just some length. And then from here, we're going to start to, so if you're on your palms, you're going to rock forwards and then rock back into almost a child's pose. And you might walk the hands a little further away from the knees. And we're just kind of taking this back and forth. If you're on forearms, right, you're going to do the same thing, and now this action is a little more oriented around the shoulders, just in a little different way. You might think about like you could press the hands down, so forearms are kind of working in that downward direction. And as you continue to make this action back and forth, start to incorporate a little cat-cow. So as you rise up, you're really finding that arch of the back, hinging forward slightly. And then as you exhale, it's more in the direction of a neutral spine, finding some length. And then you might come up to the top, drop the belly, lift the heart. Exhale, round the spine, hips to heels. And then from here, if you're on palms, you might come into a child's pose. You might grab blocks if you want. We're going to work into a little bit of a tricep stretch. So coming onto the forearms on the blocks, make sure that your elbows connect down to the blocks. And you might take the knees just a little bit wider for some space. It just depends. You'll have to adjust as you come into this to what feels good. So from this extended tabletop on forearms, we're just going to start to sink the hips back towards the heels. And we want to feel that nice deep stretch in the back of the arms. If you'd like a little more, you might bend at the elbow, bringing the hands to touch and the palms behind the head. And again, here you might have to adjust the knees to accommodate this. So for some of us, walking the knees in that more of a child's pose feels a little bit better. For others, walking the knees back and being more in that puppy pose, Judy, like how you are right now, it's like that puppy pose, might feel better. So you just have to kind of adjust with what feels really good for you. Let's stay here for a couple more breaths, allowing the whole side body to open, back of the arms. One more full breath in. Soft breath out. On your inhale, slowly starting to unwind. You might release the palms down, come back onto the forearms, lift up, and then we're going to work into, we're eventually going to make our way into a thread the needle variation. And so, Louise, you're going to want that block under a shoulder when we come down. Because that's going to just bring the floor up and create less of a twist, but a slight twist. And try that and see if that works. So what we're going to start with is you might be on blocks for a little more space. A little more challenging is going to be on the forearms. And you might come to, onto whatever I said. You know what I meant. Hands on blocks or on the ground, and then forearms is the other option.
What's the more challenging one?
Probably forearms or on palms. The least challenging, probably on blocks. Yes. So, a few different options this morning. I'm going to demo on the blocks just to give you an idea. And we're going to press into the right forearm in whatever way that works. And I want you to feel into the lift of the shoulder. So it's really easy to kind of like dump when we're on the forearms, right? So we want to create that lift. And then we're going to bring the right hand to the right hip. And this might be a lot. You might feel some of that openness. And then start to draw that right shoulder blade back into the socket and think about lifting the heart just a little bit higher. And then we're going to work that right hand behind the right ear. So the fingertips are just resting there. You're not really hanging on to anything. You're just cradling the hand somewhere that feels good. Inhale here. And with an exhale, you'll just bring that right elbow down to the left elbow. Inhale back up. Exhale back down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Let's do one more. Inhale up. And then this time we're going to extend that arm out and we're threading the needle. So right arm's going to come under left. And then from here with your blocks there, you might bring that shoulder to a block for a little more lift, or you might remove blocks and go ahead, bring the shoulder down to the earth, right ear down to the earth. Walk the block wider so it's taking up the whole tricep. So like, yeah. So like if you bring it even more so that the whole arm is kind of on the block. And then you're not hanging off. Does that work? Does that feel better? Perfect. All right, my dears. Let's unwind from here. So we'll come back up and then we'll do it all again on the other side. All right, I have a little spider on my mat. See, little spiders are okay. They don't bother me. Anything past this, Louise?
Yeah, well, I can let
Anything bigger than that, I'm like, nope. Too big. All right, so this side, again, you might be on forearms, you might be on the palms, and we're going to start to work that left hand to the left hip. Draw the left shoulder blade back into the socket, and then start to lift the heart to the sky. And then that just helps to open us up and maintain stability in the shoulders. Then we'll start to work the left fingertips behind the ear or cradle the head, wherever it's comfortable. We'll inhale here. With an exhale, left elbow to right elbow or right wrist. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more if you've got it. We'll inhale, open. Exhale, as you come down, we're going to thread the needle so that left arm sweeps under, right, left ear down to the earth. And then from here, you might bring the right hand to connect to the left hand. So right hand comes to left. So that left arm's extended out. Yep. And then both hands. And Louise, for you, I would just recommend keeping the right arm. Yep. But if that bottom arm is on the earth, you could press it into the earth and then press both hands into the earth, and that creates a little more rotation in the thoracic spine. Let's take another breath in. Another breath out. We'll inhale here. And with that exhale, think about drawing the belly button to the spine. We'll work the right arm back underneath, either onto the block on the forearm or hand on the earth, starting to lift up. Nice job. And then let's take a child's pose. You might take child's pose on the blocks, finding that openness of the arms again, or you might just release down to the earth. Full breath in. Soft breath out. Full breath in. Soft breath out. All right, we're going to work into our earth flow. Let's take a few rounds of that. So make any adjustments with the knees that you might need. So we're starting from our child's pose with narrow knees. You might set blocks aside. And we're not here for long, so it's okay if we're kind of in this extra rounded back, right? And for some of us, that might feel really good. So as you settle into this child's pose, start to press the shin bones down into the earth. And if the shin bones don't reach, maybe tuck the toes so that you just have a little support in the legs. And then your next inhale, we're going to rise up to stand on the knees, arms come overhead. And as you lift the arms up and overhead, think about drawing the shoulder blades together and really opening from the front of the chest. Nice job, everyone. Beautiful. And you might bring chin to chest, create a little bit of length in the back of the neck. Hug those glutes to the hip bones. Another inhale, and with an exhale, we're going to lower all the way back down as slow as you can. See if you can do it in one smooth, steady movement. Nice job. We'll inhale, come into our tabletop. So you might take any variation here on forearms, on palms. And then we're going to tuck the toes and press into our downward facing dog or dolphin on blocks. So if you're on blocks, it might look something like this. Really working into the elbows, right? And if you're on the palms, you might be pressing into the L's of the finger, the root of the pointer finger and the root of the thumb. Draw the shoulder blades together, another breath in. And with that exhale, we'll settle back down to the earth, coming into our tabletop. Exhale, release, child's pose. Nice job. Let's take that a couple more times. We'll inhale to rise up. We'll exhale to lower down. Inhale to come into tabletop. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, release the knees to the earth. Tabletop, find length in the spine. Exhale, child's pose. Last round. Inhale to rise up. Exhale to lower down. Find the shin bones on your way down. We'll inhale to rise, tabletop. Exhale, tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. Nice job, everyone. And then from here, you might pedal out the shape a little bit. I like to roll hips from one side to the next. You might press into one heel and opposite palm. You might just bend the knees. Play around for another breath in. Exhale, find some stillness. Inhale, bring the gaze to the top of the mat, and on an exhale, we're going to make our way into our forward fold, walking the feet to meet the hands in any version that works for your architecture today. And in this first forward fold, let's take the feet and the knees a little bit wider, and bend the knees a little deeper, and then just let the torso melt over the thighs. You might interlace fingers in either elbow. If you do, draw the shoulder blades up a little so that the neck has some more space. Full breath in. Full breath out. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And you might start to find a little more straightening in the legs. Bring the weight into the toes. Lighten the heels. And with every breath, you might feel that little lift in the body. And every exhale, you might melt into this a little deeper. We're after that spinal decompression, but still finding some length in the back of the legs. Let's take one more breath in. Exhale, release the hands down to the earth. Walk the feet underneath the hips so that they're about hip width distance. We'll inhale to half lift. Bring the weight into the toes. The hands ride up the legs, and it's like you're looking out over a cliff. Draw the shoulder blades together and create length in the back of the neck. And with an exhale, we'll melt back down. Keep the knees bent. We'll inhale to rise up. Hug the shoulder blades together. Open at the collarbones. Exhale, melt back down. And this next time we rise, we're going to rise a little bit more, working our way into our chair pose. So hands slide up to the hip crease. Rotate a little bit. And the palm, so the heel of the hand, if you have access to it today, you're going to press the heel of the hand down into the hip joint. If that doesn't work, just let the hands rest on top of the thigh. If you're pressing the heel into the hip crease, think about pressing down into the feet equally, like all parts of the feet except the toes. You might even lift the toes off the mat. Right? And then you're pressing into the thighs or into the hip crease to extend the arms. So take the bend out of the elbow and use that to lift the heart. So you're still staying in this almost squat-like action. Nice job. Hug the belly button to the spine. And if this all feels good, you might release the hands from the thighs and bring hands to heart center. If you want a little more still, you might open arms up. And just like we did in whatever other shape that was, we're opening up across the chest. So for most of us, it's this wide opening, staying open in the front of the collarbones, drawing the shoulder blades together. Let's take one more breath in. Breath out. We'll inhale to rise all the way up. Press the hips forward just a little. Lift the heart. And then exhale. Release the arms down. Nice job. Roll out the shoulders a little bit. Maybe get into a little wiggle. How we feeling? Still 10 inches taller? All right. Let's do a standing thing on both sides. It's not two poses. It's one pose, two sides. Reminds me of a thing from the internet many years ago. Like stupid stuff. All right, so you're going to come to the front of the mat, and then you're going to bring the hands to the hips. And then just like, I have a lot of extra stuff over here. Don't break that. All right, so I just get rid of that. Okay. All right, so you're going to bring hands to the hips, and you're just going to step right foot back. So you're coming into this high lunge. So the back heel is lifted, and both feet are pointing straight. And so you might shorten your stance to whatever you need to get both hips parallel to the front edge of the mat. And then you're pressing down into the back toes. You're pressing down into the front heel, and you're using that pressing down to start to lift up in the hips. And you want to think about the front of the hips rather than tilting forward, right? Dumping all of ourselves out. We want to rotate the pelvis up. So you can even feel into that lift at the front of the hip. And then once you feel stable, we'll inhale arms up overhead. And then find stability here. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw. We'll inhale, and with an exhale, you're going to straighten the front leg and hinge forward. Arms come behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades. It's like you're holding an imaginary beach ball behind you. And then we'll inhale, bend the front knee, lift the arms, lift the heart. Nice job. Exhale to reach back, straighten the front leg. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Let's do one more. And then from here, if you've got it, you're going to stay in this almost straight leg, reaching the arms behind you, and then you might start to work into airplane. So I'll come this way so you can kind of see. Right, so as you launch into this, the front leg's a little straight. You're kind of starting to lean forward, and then like, well, I moved. And then you're lifting up the back leg. So it's not all the way straight. It's not that T, right? You're literally just trying to lift the arms behind you, lift the heart, and then you might start to come into this. So a balance, but it should feel like an airplane. Nice job. Let me put that fan on. It started chilly this morning, but here we are. Was that okay for the low back?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of pain there. And I'm having to move carefully.
Yeah, careful's good. Careful's good. Careful's good. Yeah, good, good, good. And that's more evidence of safety, that you can move even in and around. Yeah. All right. Shall we do it on the other side? All right. So this time, right foot steps forward, hands to the hips, and this back heel is lifted. So you're in railroad tracks. Yep. And press into the front heel, right? And you should feel that leg engage quite a bit differently. And then you might even walk the back foot a little closer, right? So shorten that distance. The idea being is that you can bend this back knee. It's almost like you came down into a lunge, right? That 90-90 lunge. And then you're pressing right up from there. And then from here, once you feel solid, once you feel stable, arms lift. Nice job. And then we're going to find some movement. So full breath in. With the exhale, straighten the front leg and just hinge at the hips. Hug the low belly to the spine. We'll inhale to lift the heart. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. We'll finish up here with this exhale. We're lifting arms back up, and then we're moving into that little balance of airplane. So you're going to hinge forward, arms come behind you. You might lift that back leg. I like what you're doing, Louise. Dragging the foot, hug the belly button to the spine. Perfect. That's good. That's good. Nice job. Nice job. One more breath if you've got it, and exhale, release. Well done, everyone. Yeah, nice job. All right, let's work our way back down. So we're going to come into a squat. You might be in that high squat. You might be in the low squat. It's like the most difficult thing I've ever done. Gosh, I could tell it's Friday. All right, so you might be in a high squat, something like this. In which case, if you're something like this, we're just going to move into that little shoulder roll. Exhaling to drop one shoulder down to the earth. Inhale to lift up. Exhale to release the opposite. And pay attention to the feet pressing into the earth as you move. Let's take one or two more, whatever brings you into balance. Maybe you can remember what side you started on. And then we'll come to neutral. And then let's just walk the feet a little bit closer together. And then you might come through seated. You might just step a knee down. Let's come onto the belly. So however safely that you can come down onto the earth. And think about the legs coming directly out of the hip socket. So sometimes we tend to get a little bit wide. And Louise, you might want to take this a little wider. And for everyone else, you might want to come with the hips, the legs right out of the hips. And if you want a little more challenge, you might bring legs a little closer together. And then the forehead comes down to the earth. And we're going to work the arms alongside the body with the palms down on the earth. And then think about, so that same action of lifting the front of the hip, right? So that drawing the front of the hip up. So in this case, you'll feel the sensation of dragging the tailbone down to the earth. So it's kind of rotating the pelvis just so that there's a little bit of shift. So it's kind of like hugging the belly button to the spine and then rotating the pelvis so that the sacrum moves in the direction of the feet. And that's just nice job. I can see everyone doing it beautifully. And that's just going to create some more support of the low back. And then from here, keep pressing, or I should say, press into the tops of the feet. And then we'll slowly start to draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. Hugging them in together, shoulders lift. We'll keep lifting, starting to peel the heart off the mat. Gaze stays down. Keep rotating the pelvis, or I should say the sacrum, away towards the feet. And then you might lift the arms. And if this all feels good, we'll ride this. If you want to do a little more, you might lift the feet. If you want a little more, you might bring the feet to touch while they're lifting. We'll take another couple breaths in. Smooth, steady breath out. Full breath in. Smooth breath out. One more. We'll inhale here. Exhale, soften everything down to the mat. You might bring an ear to the mat. You might interlace fingers underneath the forehead. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Let everything settle. And then you have the option, if you'd like it, to bend at the knees and windshield wiper the feet from one side to the next. And then if you lifted the feet, release them back down to the earth. From here, walk the hands off the mat so that they're in line with the chest. Forehead comes to the earth. And you're creating 90-degree bends. And you could also do something on the block to create a little space here as well. So the idea is we're creating some space in the shoulders, right? So if you wanted to be on blocks, you might do something like this so that it's the elbows coming directly out of the shoulder socket. So it's like that 90-degree bend. And as you settle into this, draw the shoulder blades together, shoulders away from the ears, press feet into the earth, rotate the sacrum towards the feet, and then on an inhale, peel the heart up, gaze stays down. We're going to ride the breath here and find similar movement as our squat we did. So right shoulder comes down to the earth, gaze goes left, inhale back up, exhale, left shoulder. We'll come back to neutral. When you find evenness, we'll lower back down. You might move the blocks aside. Take a breath in and out here. And then when you're ready, starting to roll onto the back, you might just extend one arm up and roll onto one side and then make your way onto your mat. And then finding a good morning stretch, reach the body long, full breath in. Exhale, right knee into chest. Give it a little squeeze. Inhale, extend the leg, reach the arms long. Exhale, left knee in. Inhale, reach the body long. Exhale, both knees in, one at a time or both knees together. And then if you'd like figure four, you might move into figure four. I'm going to cue up Happy Baby. So if you're working into figure four, you might just release a foot down, cross one ankle over the other. Right? If you're moving into Happy Baby, knees come into the armpits. You reach down for the ankles or the feet and press the feet up to the sky like you're standing. And if you're exploring Happy Baby, you might start rocking from one side to the next. Sometimes rolling all the way onto one side can feel really nice under the shoulder blades. And if you're in figure four and you haven't switched, you might do so. Come back into the breath. Come back into the sensation of the body breathing itself. Wherever you're at, starting to unwind. We're going to work the knees back into the chest. Bringing the arms out to cactus, you might stack the knees over the hips and lower them to one side. You might bring the soles of the feet down to the earth and take another windshield wiper. The idea is we're working into a variation of a twist. So just finding something that works for your body this morning, or afternoon, I should say.
They still won't be. Oh, really? What's talking about?
Or evening. Because it's Friday.
Don't rush the day.
All right, my dears, and then if you haven't already, reverse to the other side or switch to the other side. We'll drop the knees in that direction for a supine twist. Let the body wash over you, the breath wash over the body. Another breath or two here. And then when you're ready, starting to return back to neutral. And if there's anything else that might be calling to you this morning, you have a moment or so to explore that shape. Otherwise, you might make your way into Shavasana. And if you'd like a little extra support today, you might roll up a blanket, or I can bring around a bolster under the knees to prop up the knees a little. You might rest the feet on the earth and knock the knees in. You might extend the legs. You might release arms alongside the body. You might take up space and become a big star. If you feel like you need to retain a little more energy, you might draw in and have the arms and legs a little closer. Just allow the body to become as comfortable as possible. Whatever you need to do, whatever little wiggles, whatever props, support, just allowing yourself to become as comfortable as possible. Yes, absolutely. Is that good? And just allow all of this information that we gave the body, matching breath to movement, creating mobility and strength, letting go of tension, calming the mind, smoothing out the breath. All of this integrating, creating vitality. We'll be here for a few moments and I will call you out shortly. I invite you to take this time to rest, to practice conscious rest. If the mind wanders, inhale, Sat, exhale, Nam. Sat, Nam. Let the mind stay busy with mantra. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so you must know pain. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And you would accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that have passed over your fields. And you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. Much of your pain is self-chosen. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore, trust the physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. For his hand, though heavy and hard, is guided by the tender hand of the unseen. And the cup he brings, though it burns your lips, has been fashioned of clay, which the potter has moistened with his own sacred tears. Dear souls, begin to invite in a deeper breath, becoming aware of the body breathing itself, noticing sensation, feeling of your body resting on the floor. And as you're ready, finding some gentle movement, wiggling toes and fingers, rolling out ankles and wrists, eventually making your way into hugging the knees to chest. And then rolling onto either side in the shape of the fetus. That shape of new beginnings, new perspectives, stepping off your mat today and out into the world brand new. Calling in any last bits of intention that you wish to set, because now the real work begins. And when you're ready, coming up to seated, making your way into your most comfortable position. And we'll close our time together with 3 Oms. take a connecting breath in. Exhale, let that go. We'll inhale for sound. Bringing the hands to heart center in Anjali or Hridaya Mudra, bowing the head to the heart, and repeating quietly, with great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings in all three worlds be happy and be free from suffering. Dear soul, thank you so much for showing up today and doing something so kind for your body, your mind, and your soul. And thank you for allowing me to guide you this morning. It's my honor to be here and hold this space. I look forward to this time with you each week. The light in me, the light in you, it is the same. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.